Hey, so I made the card game War, because I don't know, I felt like it. Yeah, so I saw it online and I remembered about it from when I was a kid. You split up a deck of cards into two groups, and then you put them down and see who's is stronger, and that person gets the card, and whoever ends up with all the cards wins. So that's the gist of it. So I wrote this in Java. If you are unfamiliar, I'm just going to walk you through it. So your imports for all your functions are up here, and we wrap everything in a class because it is a object-oriented language. So going from the top, this array list is going to contain our main deck of cards. It should have been called something else, but yeah, I didn't name it that already, and I don't want to change it. And then we have our order of our cards. So this is going to be how strong each one is. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Where ace is the strongest. And we're going to use this. And we're going to take the index of each one to represent how strong that card is or if they're equal. So next we have a function that will be called to create that deck of cards. So all these numbers will be attached to one of these types and create a new string, which will then be appended onto our array. So this is just what's happening here. Quick 2 for loops. So after that, we have a dealer. Our dealer will then randomly hand out those cards that we created in our array. So while it's dealing, everything's cool. So if our array is not empty, it means there's still cards to be dealt. So we're going to randomly grab one of those cards, add it to the deck, remove it from the deck, and again for the other person's deck. And then when we finally do get empty, we end this while loop and return nothing. Cool. So next we would have the actual playing of the game. So we have the two decks that we had before. They are now handed out. So we're gonna have a while shrew loop, and while they're fighting, then this game is continuing, and we want to keep track of how many rounds are going because I noticed that it was like 1,000 rounds and nothing was changing. I noticed that this game is technically impossible to win. Well, not technically impossible, but it is surprisingly difficult. Oh well. So this is going to be the winning pile of each player. So when you win, they go into this pile, and then after you're finished your cards, you have to pick up that win pile, and that should be all your new cards. Cool. So counts 1 and 2 is going to represent how many rounds that they won. Because I wanted to finish it early because I didn't want to wait here for too long. So that will represent when player 1 won and player 2 won, and the situation where they tie. Um, from that, again, that I'm only going off of who has the more cards in that situation. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but I didn't want to do that. This is just the easiest way I could think of. So after that, we're going to call our fight simulator. So this is going to just take a card from each one, compare them, and then see what happens from there. And we're going to look at that in a second. After that, after each fight is happening, we need to check, is our deck empty? And if it is empty, do we have any wins? If we don't have any wins, then this fight is over. The other person won. So we can escape this while loop, and else we want to change to our holder one, delete old our old win pile, and do the same thing for if the other person is out of cards. So from there, after we finally finished our while loop, we'll declare a winner. Same rules as before, player 1, player 2, tie. Hold up. if they're greater than 0, yeah. That means they still have cards. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. So when they actually fight, we're gonna remove a card from the deck of each one, compare the two values by, like I said, we're gonna get the index from that order array from the top. And yeah, so there's an if and else just because the number 10 was really messing me up, so I had to separate it. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but I just couldn't think of one. From there, we compare the two values, so it's going to be an integer since it's the two indexes. Um, and then we're going to add the wins to each pile, the win pile for each one. And in the situation where the two cards are equal, we're going to enter our war situation. So from here, we're going to have deck 1, deck 2, win 2, and count. So that count is going to represent how many cards are going to be given up, just because if we have multiple war situations, then the count of how many cards are going to be transferred over is just going to increase. So from here, we go to, yeah. So these are the situations where one person or both people have run out of cards. So if that is the case, then we want to print War 3 because I needed to know. But in reality, we just exit. So no person has won this situation. And yeah, you just continue as if nothing happened. Um, so if both people, or if one person has run out of cards and the other person has won, and then we want to put all of their cards into the other person's winning pile, and as well as however many cards that they use to beat them into that pile as well. Yeah. So from there, we have War 1. And then, yeah, it's the same thing for the other way around. So here we're then checking the fourth card. So in war, when you put down the same card, you then have to put down 3 cards face down, and then the fourth card is flipped over, and whichever one's better gets the whole thing. And so that, yeah, we're doing the comparison here. So the only difference from what we showed before was that now we have multiple cards that need to be removed and added onto the win pile. Yep. And yeah, in the situation where war happens a second time, you just add 4 cards onto that pile. And then we have our main function, which calls everything. And yeah, and if you run everything, this is what you see. And our player 1 had more wins, so they won. Anyway, the code should be there in the description. Go crazy. See ya.